And welcome to another episode of JNA Real Estate's News Dash, where two full-time real estate agents become part-time newscasters. And today, I have Geraldine. Thank you for joining me on this very hot and sunny week in Singapore.
It's us again.
Yes. Yeah, so if
you're getting bored.
Yeah, and you guys are watching from home, you guys don't know the amount of heat that we have to go through.
Yeah.
To come to the studio to film.
Suits.
Yes, in suits. And I tell you, selling real estate in this weather is actually not bad.
Not bad. You sure? Not bad. With the AC on, it's not bad.
Yeah, we blast the AC, and then when the viewers come through the door, right, they're like, "Wow, this is heaven." Yeah,
Feels like home.
Easy first impression. Yes.
Okay, so what do we have on the news this week?
Right. So, property agents.
Fined for marketing BTO flats, breaching HDB regulations. So why were these agents fined, right? It's because these units were marketed before these owners have met MOP, or they have not actually physically stayed in the house. So let's share a little more in more detail on how these agents were fined.
Yeah. So in case you guys don't know, right, if you've owned your BTO flat for 5 years, but you did not stay there, right? Or even if you've gone on extended work overseas, right? HDB does not count that as fulfilling your MOP.
Yeah, for 5 years.
Yes. So what this agent did was, knowing that the owners did not stay in the BTO flat for 5 years, and then he's marketed it after 5 years, right? Technically fulfilling MOP, right? But he stated in his advertisement that brand new HDB flat never stayed. A bit of a rookie mistake.
Yeah. So there were actually two agents that were fined. How much, right? One, the first agent was actually fined for $1,000. Second was fined for $500. So for this 1,000 agent, why was she fined, right? It's because she was marketing the unit despite knowing that the owner has never stayed there and before the MOP was actually filled. So it was before the 5-year mark. Yeah. And then the second agent that was fined $500, she knew that the owners have never stayed there, but the MOP has already passed 5 years. Just that the owners has never stayed there. Which, Lucas earlier mentioned that if you have not stayed in the house for 5 years physically in the house, it's not considered that you have met the MOP. And also, how did people find out that the owners have not met the MOP? Because just now he shared, she marketed it on Property Guru that it's a brand new unit and never stayed in, even though it's already an 8 years old HDB flat.
Yes. Yeah. And honestly, we are in co-broke networks, and I've seen other agents who are trying to co-broke with us, right, and telling us that this is a brand new HDB. Yeah. And, wow, it's very scary. We immediately warn them hey, this is not right. Maybe that's never come across before.
Yeah, imagine marketing a 5 to 8 year old flat that is brand new. How is that possible, right?
Yes.
Yeah, unless you can market it differently. Say well kept as like brand new unit. Yeah. But don't say it's a brand new unit lah.
Yeah. Right. But we are not trying to flout the rules.
Yeah, we are not trying to flout the rules.
We don't do that.
Correct.
We will always advise our owners properly that actually this has not fulfilled the MOP. Yeah. And fun fact, to add on to this, right, people who are buying the new prime HDB model flats, right, just a reminder that your MOP is 10 years.
10 years, not 5 years.
Yes, and those under the PLH model, even after 10 years, you're still not allowed to rent out your whole HDB flat. You're only allowed to rent out your rooms.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what we have for the first news today. Second, next up, we discussed this last week about the Cross Island Line, about how they are starting their construction in King Albert Park and also Clementi. Yes. And today, we were reading this, and I'm seeing that with this Cross Island Line, I didn't know before I read this that with this Cross Island Line, you can actually travel from Punggol to Pasir Ris in 15 minutes.
Punggol to Pasir Ris in 15 minutes.
15, 1-5, not 50. Because now it actually takes about 45 to 50 minutes with bus.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, with this Cross Island Line, it only takes 15 minutes. And this service will be ready in 2032. Which will shorten actually more than 70,000 journeys, especially for those traveling from northeast to east of Singapore. And I think with this, about 40,000 households, including those in future housing projects, are going to be benefited with this Cross Island Line MRT.
Yeah, and something I really appreciate, right, is Singapore keeps improving our transport system. Yeah. Right? There's sooner or later, there won't be this MRT effect anymore. Every household will be like 10 minutes away from an MRT.
Yeah, I remember back then in in 2002, when I first moved to Singapore, it was only the red and green line.
Yes.
And then after that, I remember I actually went overseas for school. And then I came back, suddenly, got blue line lah, got orange line and all these different lines. So actually, fun fact, right? The Cross Island Line is Singapore's 8th MRT line. Yeah, can you name the 8?
Wow.
Let's try name the 8.
North-South line, East-West line, North-East line.
Purple, right? The north-south is what?
The name is not purple line.
I can only remember colors. I cannot remember the names. I only remember the colors. Yeah.
Okay, so there's the purple one, right?
Purple line.
North-East line.
Okay.
Circle line, orange.
Circle, orange.
Downtown line, orange.
Downtown line, blue.
Line. Well, honestly. Have we... I haven't mentioned this line. What's this line that we're talking about? The Cross Island line. Yes, 6.
Cross Island line is what? Light green. Okay, let's try. Let me try with the colors. Okay, colors I can remember: green, red, blue, orange or yellow, which is the circle line.
Orange. Yeah,
circle line, right?
Yes.
And then we have. Did I mention purple yet?
You know
red,
what?
green, blue, purple. Okay, you know what?
We will come back with the analysis of the MRT lines sooner or later.
Behind the scenes, we'll be calculating how many MRT lines we have.
Yeah, and actually the MRT line has become quite well known around the world for being a very efficient system.
Yeah.
My Canadian cousin just came over to visit, right, after 10 years, and she saw so much transformation in Singapore.
Yeah.
She took the MRT from Bukit Panjang all the way to Changi Airport. Just one downtown line, like one straight line down. Yeah, and it's like 45 minutes or so. Yeah, but previously it was just not possible to reach.
Yeah, we're spoiled, in Singapore. Because I remember the first time I went to the US for school, there's no proper MRT. And then I had to take the bus to school. Yeah. Taking the bus is like at least a 20-30 minutes wait for one bus.
Wait, was it air-conditioned bus or non-air-conditioned bus?
Some are not air-conditioned. But the thing is, of course, US is cold lah.
Yes.
Okay, not like Singapore. And another thing is, in US, the subways, some homeless would actually sit in the subway, in the bus, and you don't feel as safe. In Singapore, you get air-conditioned MRT, air-conditioned bus, and they're always, changing the bus even, not just the MRT, and it's always improved. It's not like an outdated bus in Singapore.
Yes.
Yeah. So one thing to note is that the transport, this new Cross Island line, they're actually creating a Telegram channel for residents. Yeah, for every area. There's a Telegram channel that you can subscribe to.
Okay.
To actually get updates about this Cross Island line.
When's it opening?
When it's opening, what's the update, the current status, when is it being built. So we can go look up that Telegram channel and share with you guys once we find it.
Yeah, I know there are enthusiasts of the MRT, right?
Yeah.
When the station opens, I know they want to be the first ones to get on the train.
Step on the MRT.
Yeah.
Okay, next up. We have Singapore battling against the rising sea. I think there's something that none of us realize because we are so spoiled with Singapore, protecting and investing so much funds into the flood protection for Singapore that we don't realize that Singapore is affected by this.
Yes, and we are a coastal island, definitely, surrounded by sea. So actually, it should be on our minds, like, I wouldn't say 100% of the time, but it should be on our minds. And we should be more mindful about how we treat the environment. Yeah.
If you're in Indonesia, you'll actually appreciate. Because every time it rains, it floods. And there's one point where I saw people taking their sampan out from the house because it was so flooded that some of them, they live just right beside the sea. They have their own yacht, they have their own jet ski. They were jet skiing near their house because it was that flooded. Okay, you don't see that in Singapore because we rarely face floods in Singapore. But okay, let's share in more detail what's about this.
Yes. Right. So Singapore has fought to expand its territory and piled up sand to expand its coastline.
Yeah.
And reclaim land from the sea. Of course, that has been in our plans for a long time. And Sentosa Island is a very good example. Right. And our plan is to grow an additional 4% by 2030.
Yeah. So we are seeing that roughly about 1/3 of Singapore is less than 16 feet above sea level. And we are wondering, 70 billion of this real estate, where is it affected?
Yeah.
Most of this are in the CBD area. If you know where Marina Bay is, which I think all of you would know, that area is one of the affected areas, like where DBS building is, Standard Chartered building is.
Yeah.
So assuming that, about 1.5 degrees of warming prime real estate of 70 billion would actually face a high risk of flooding in the near future. That's why now Singapore is actually investing a lot of funds, about 5 billion, to the protection of flooding in Singapore.
Yes. And it's something, I mean, these environmental factors, it's not just our problem alone, it's worldwide, right? So something that we can't control on our side alone, right? And the only thing government can do is to put up these flood protections.
Yeah. And you're wondering where all this flood protection is. One of them is actually Marina Barrage. So Marina Barrage is not just it's not just a picnic area for those of you who are always going there every weekend, flying your kites and you're eating your picnic, enjoying the Singapore skyline. So that Marina Barrage dam is actually worth $226 million.
Ooh.
I remember going there when I was a kid in primary school. They would take us there for an excursion.
Okay.
So we learned a lot at that time. But then after that, I forgot about it. I forgot about what Marina Barrage is for. I just go there, we always bike over there, enjoy the skyline, the views. But we don't realize that Singapore pumped a lot of money into this to ensure that, 70% of Singapore's coastline is protected by that.
Yes. And when you were in primary school, when I was in primary school,
when I was in primary school, you were in what?
Exist.
So
I mean, we stayed at the area to fly kite. But what are the other areas do you think that Singapore residents, I mean, not many people stay in the Raffles Place, Shenton Way area. What are the other areas that you might think that might be affected?
This is part of East Coast, around Crescent, Goodman area. The landed areas, if you drive by, you will actually notice that they are built differently from some of the other landeds. So they are actually slightly below the average sea level of compared to other residential areas, which is why when you drive in, it's not the first level straight. It's actually considered the basement. So
landed home.
Yeah,
landed
home.
Drive in is basement.
Yeah, so actually if you see the structure of these landed homes, the first floor is actually about one staircase up. Yeah, you don't when you drive in, it's not straight away the first floor. It's like they consider that the basement. And then first floor is actually elevated.
Wow.
Yeah.
So okay, let's hopefully they'll be okay and Singapore doesn't have to come to that. Yeah.
So Singapore is actually forecasted to spend and invest about 100 billion over the next 100 years against the rising sea levels.
Okay, why 100 years though?
So 100 years because if let's say you're planning too short of a timeline or too long of a timeline, we want to ensure that we are putting in enough resources, because if let's say you put too much resources, you may be wasting. But if let's say you don't put enough resources, then in the future you will see that maybe more funds are required to be pumped in. So 100 years is a timeline horizon that we are looking at in Singapore.
Okay, wow. So they're really planning long term. Yeah. So the Hydroinformatics Institute, sorry, it's a bit of a mouthful. Hydroinformatics Institute and the National University of Singapore is working with PUB, right, to build a computer model simulating the combined effects of our rising sea level and the rainfall of the country's coastlines.
So this will be completed in 2025 so that they can assess, how some areas are more vulnerable, and that's where some areas they can try to invest and focus more in.
Wow, it'd be interesting to see those results.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Jervis, your home is not affected.
Yeah. So actually we were discussing, maybe sometimes, not sometimes, like maybe in the next few News Dash, we can try to invite people from, NUS who are actually also part of this project to actually discuss and share more with you guys. Because now it's just us, understanding just the surface level of what's happening on this, but we can't really advise you guys or share with you guys in more detail about what is really going on behind the scenes. So maybe this is something that would be more interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and
towards
if
the end,
if you guys are in NUS and involved in this project, feel free to reach out to us. Very happy to talk to you.
Or if you guys are in the major of this, studying this about how Singapore's flooding level is at the moment. Something that you can also reach out to us, and if you're willing to share, we are more than happy to invite you guys here at our News Dash.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So next up, we have URA, proposed rezoning of One North plot to a residential development.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't they just build this into a nice, I wouldn't say like industrial area. It's scientific industrial area.
So we are seeing that about 300 more homes will be built in this One North area. So it was actually a commercial zoning, which will be converted into a residential zoning.
Okay.
With about 300 homes, and the first story will be a commercial unit. Will be used as commercial units.
Okay. it's going to be a very nice place, to be honest.
Yeah. So the reason for this is actually to support the rising housing demand in One North. Because what we are seeing is, Singapore is investing a lot of funds into biomedical, into the healthcare industry. And One North is one of the areas where, offices are going to be built. Expansion of offices are going to be there. Grab is also somewhere nearby.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of rental demand is in One North, but we don't see a lot of housing available for purchase.
Definitely the nearest would be around the Buona Vista area. What's interesting is that there's a lot of medical research facilities there, right?
In One North, yeah.
Yeah, and Singapore's pumping a lot of money in, right? Because we are going to be one of our focus is going to be like a medical hub. Yeah.
Yeah, so if we're wondering, who are going to be buying these residential projects, whether or not it's a private or whether or not it's a public housing, we potentially see that, if let's say it's a private housing, we could potentially see that HDB upgraders from around Queenstown, Red Hill area may, want to stay in One North area, especially if their offices are nearby. Because now One North is mostly commercial buildings.
Yeah.
Not a lot of residential. Maybe the residential ones are closer to One North MRT.
Yeah.
But this commercial building that is converted to residential is going to be closer to where the main One North office is, the business park.
Yes. So separately in Bayshore Road, right, the plot ratio for residential development along East Coast Parkway could be raised from 3.5 to 4.2 to facilitate upcoming residential development in the Bayshore district.
Yeah.
So why the Bayshore district?
So I'm seeing that, this Bayshore district is one of the areas where a lot of transformation is going on. We have public housing, potentially private housing, a lot of old projects, 99 years leasehold developments there that is potentially discussing on block, but we are not going to discuss further yet because we do not have
data on it. Okay.
But this site is going to be an area where it's going to be directly connected to Bayshore MRT, and there's also going to be a park built in Bayshore.
Yeah.
So a lot of exciting land plots that's coming up, not only in Bayshore, not only in One North. There's also Tengah for public housing. There's also Clementi. I think we were discussing about 2 weeks ago for public housing HDB flats.
Yeah.
So really exciting because this is going to be an area that's going to be transforming. Land bid prices are also going to increase further. So potentially for those resale, if let's say there's a huge gap between the new land bid and the current resale price, that's one way that is going to show that the resale price will increase further in terms of capital appreciation.
Yes. So if you're not familiar with the resale price gap, do reach out to us. We have an investment team, right, that specializes every day in just analyzing.
Yeah, they are working hard behind the scenes, looking at numbers, looking at projects.
Yeah.
Where shortlisting potential developments for our clients.
Yes, and we're very happy to advise our clients, right? Because we do see that a lot of 25, 26-year-olds are entering the housing market now, where you see HDB increasing their MOPs to 10 years, but yet they can't afford a condo really because a lot of even 2 bedrooms are reaching almost 2 million these days. And so we help our clients. Our investment team helps our clients to really advise what's the best way forward.
So if you're wondering where to invest in, what to invest in, do reach out to us. Our investment team will be there to help you guys.
Yes. And last up.
Okay, so today we want to end this news dash slightly differently from what we have been doing for the past few months. Because we realized that, we have always just been sharing with you guys news that has been happening for the past few months, for the past week. But what we wanted to do differently today is to maybe have a discussion that is slightly related to real estate and financial planning. So I read this article about yesterday or today. And I saw, some parents are charging rent to their kids. And the reason for that is not because the parents want to benefit and get some passive income from their kids, but because they want to teach their kids financial independence.
Yes.
But what do you guys think? What do you think?
You've chosen a topic that's very close to my heart.
He wants to charge his 10-year-old kid rent.
My 11-year-old pays me rent. No, they don't. But this is something I've said time and again for years, right? The greatest lesson that I've taught my kids is poverty, honestly, right? Because they saw me grow up from a full-time staff to agent, right? And it was difficult at first. And they saw how hard I had to work and how much, or rather how little money was coming in at first, right? And having I didn't go through it alone. They had to go through this with me. My family had to go through this with me. And I feel that they've really grown up during that period. And it's the same with my friends as well. My friends who come from less fortunate backgrounds, right? They actually grew up very independent, very driven.
Yeah.
And they know what they want for themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not ashamed to admit I came from a wealthier background. And I didn't understand this until I was in my 30s, honestly. And it's very late because by the time you realize it, right, it's so much pain to change your bad habits, right, and start saving when you're in your 30s. It's very, very tough. So it's something I wanted to teach my kids since young. And now that we are slightly more stable, right, my kids still have that, savings and investment mindset. And there's actually a book in Singapore where you can buy for your kids, right? I won't name the book, but if you go on Shopee, look for children's books about financial independence, right? And I bought the book for my kids, and it teaches them how to make money and how to save and invest.
Have they learned anything from reading the book?
I mean, they don't quote me on investment methodologies or things like that, but their daily habits, things like I bring them to McDonald's, right? And the iced Milo is like $3.50 or $4, expensive. And they realize it. No matter how much they want iced Milo, they understand that it's not worth the value. So I whether or not I would charge rent to my kids, I think I would maybe when after they graduate and they're working, I would charge rent to my kids.
What's the reason behind that?
What's the reason behind that? It's to teach them it's realities lah. It's realities of the world, right? As much as we want to pamper our kids and love them and give them a home, I think you can love your kid as well, right? When you teach them about the realities of life. And it's not love when you've pampered them so much, and then when they finally leave home and then it hits them like a ton of bricks, right? And at that time, you, or rather myself, may not have that capability to pamper them as much anymore. Right?
I completely agree. But at the same time, so actually I think what I wanna share my opinion. But what I think I wanna share before that is why this article, I mean, like this people in this article, they were charging their kids rent and what their kids had in mind before paying this rent.
How young are the kids, by the way?
The kids are they are working adults. They already graduated. They are about 26 years old. So this person, she's 26 years old. She's actually paying her parents' rent in a 4-room flat in Bishan for about 1K a month. But before, when she was still studying and she was working part-time, she started paying her parents' rent for $200 a month.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it was $200 a month, and then I think gradually, as she started earning more, she started paying her parents higher rent. So the reason behind that was not that the parents were in need of the money, but just that she wanted to contribute financially for her parents as well. And then another family, the reason they had the idea of charging their son rent, but when he actually had the talk with his son, he realized that actually his son had already set aside a bank account specifically for the parents, for their retirement fund. So I think it's not about charging your kids rent to teach them financial independence, but I think it's like you said, giving your kids books from they were kids, teaching them financial independence, understanding the value of money from they were kids, and not right only after they graduate. Because if, let's say, you did not teach your kids about the value of money since they were kids, and only after they graduate, that's when it really hits them hard. But if you started teaching them since they were kids, that's when they start to value money more, knowing that money is not easy to earn. And I've met a lot of different friends and families from different types of backgrounds. Sometimes I realize that kids not from a wealthy family has the potential to succeed more. without this is
Without assistance.
outside of parents' financial backing. Okay,
Yeah.
this is just based on their own efforts, their own time, their own hard work, because they know that they don't have anything to lose, as compared to families and kids who grew up in a wealthy background where parents are always providing them with whatever they want. It's harder for them to actually go achieve and try to work hard for what they truly want, because they are scared that because they already had it all.
Yeah.
So for them to want to go work hard for what they really want, they are scared to lose it,
Yes.
to lose what they've already had.
Yeah.
Because they've never experienced not having anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
So this really, I was just thinking, I was like, hey, I think this is something that can be shared with our viewers like you guys, because I think it's something relatable.
Yeah.
Maybe some days we can just invite any of our random clients to just share about how they feel about real estate, about financial independence, about the value of money.
Yeah. And I think this is something that's actually been kind of neglected in primary school.
Yeah.
Right? In our education system, where children are not being taught about the value of money, about how to save money or how to invest, or how money can work for them.
Yeah.
And I actually have tried to bring like a program to schools, right? But it's can be a one-day thing, but they won't make it like part of their curriculum. Yeah, which I feel is quite wasted.
Yeah. And I think in Singapore it's not common to actually charge your kids rent. I think in the US it is. Where once the kids turn 18, not for Asian families though, it's more of like more for the Americans.
Yeah.
When they grow up, they pass 18. When they're past 18, they would actually move out of the house, or maybe they would just pay their parents' rent.
Yeah.
But for Asian families, it's I think a norm.
I think it's still taboo.
Yeah, I think it's still taboo. They don't really pay their parents' rent. But I think it's more of giving back to your parents.
Yeah.
In a different way.
I think we call it allowance.
Yeah, you give them allowance. You don't pay them rent, but you're just giving them allowance for what they have done for you for the past 18, 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's our news dash for today.
Yeah.
Right. And if you'd like to have more updates on our Telegram group, you can always join it. We'll put the QR code over here.
Yeah. So Lucas today just met with a very interesting partner. So we are going to maybe have a discount for that.
We'll see. Yeah. But you will definitely have exclusives for our community, right?
Yeah. Yesterday too, we also met with another partner yesterday.
Yeah.
So we won't disclose who yet until we actually have an official code to share with you guys.
So that's it from us from JNA Real Estate. I'm Lucas.
This is Geraldine.
And we'll see you next week. Bye.